Salute, salute, salute. You know what? Let's just get into it. I was going to say something, but you know what? Let me say this before we get to the video. Let me just say this part. Tell me this ain't the same Keisha today from what you about to hear. She's 19 years old. Tell me if this ain't the same mentality today. Let's go. First of all, salute to the brothers, salute the black men. Let's get to it.
Brenda is 19, unmarried, and she has just had a baby. She's learning to care for him on her own. She's trying to get a job to support him, and she lives with her aunt, who has 5 children of her own. Money was the reason she decided not to marry Kenneth, the father of her child.
I would have married him, while I was carrying the baby, but he had no job and couldn't support us and his sister getting married. When her sister getting married, so I said, wait. I plan on marrying him next year, no sooner than next year. Have to give him time to work first.
Are you kidding me? By the way, did I say this was in 1967? 1967. So you get knocked up. Know that you're expecting. He wants to marry you, and you decide no. You don't want to marry him. You want to bring this child into the world as an unwed mother instead of, making sure by marrying the father that child has the father in his life. In the baby's life. His or her life. Now, we're going to find out that him being without a job is not the truth, but let's just say he doesn't have a job, right? You knew that when you were getting taken on Tizzy tours, when he was taking you on a pound Tizzy. You knew that already. You knew that. So why is it so important now? Why is it so important now that he needs to have a job? And he should have a job, right? He should have a job, but that wasn't important to you when you was getting taken on a Tizzy tour. And if each of you are broke, right, wouldn't it make sense for y'all to work together in order to make it somewhere? And in order to get your act together, it would be better if both of them are together and they work on making a better life for themselves. Especially when it comes to the child, if he's looking for a job, right? If he's looking for a job, you watch the child. If you're looking for a job, he can watch the child. Wouldn't it be better to have 2 parents for the child instead of just you? Oh, no. No, he needs to make money before he's able to be a father in his child's life. Hold on.
What's the sense of marrying somebody if he can't support you? That's his job to support you and the baby. Not my job to support.
What's the sense of getting knocked up? Let's go.
Him and the baby. So after he start working, work more than he been working, then I'll marry him. And I think he's able to take care of 2.
When he think he's I want you to listen to the last part. Listen to the last part.
He's carrying the baby, but he had no job and couldn't support us and his sister getting married. When his sister getting married, so I said, wait. I plan on marrying him next year, no sooner than next year. Have to give him time to work first. What's the sense of marrying somebody if he can't support you? That's his job to support you and the baby. Not my job to support him and the baby. So after he start working, work more than he been working. Then
Do you hear that? Work more than he's been working. Meaning he is working. Meaning he is working. That's why you got to pay attention when they talk. You miss certain things because I know you trying to drown out the babble. You ain't trying to listen to none of this. But they tell on themselves. So he is working. You want him to bring in more money because this is her idea. Hey, listen, he needs to take care of both of you. But he needs to bring in more money. The money that he's bringing in is not enough. Well, how is it okay for you to sit and sleep at your aunt's house, right? You're a burden there because now your aunt has her children and, now there's another mouth in the house, right? So you're in cramped quarters and, you probably don't have enough space for you and a baby in there, right? So it's a terrible situation. Remember, the aunt already has 5 children there. So it's 6 people in that house before she entered. Now it's 8 people in that house or apartment. Whatever it is cramped. So you mean to tell me it's better to be in those conditions than to work with the baby's father who's working, but you want him to bring in more money, but yet your situation is dire and you don't even want to work with him on getting yourselves together? How twisted, man. How twisted that is. This is twisted. This is twisted right here. This is what you call twisted. Black men, please pay attention to what I'm about to say to you, right? Because, I ain't pointing no fingers at these content creators. I know they mean well, but the information that they giving you about black men being kicked out of the homes is false. It's false. This is what they're actually talking about. This right here, which they twisted it and turned it into black men being kicked out of the house for welfare. Black men were never kicked out of the homes because they own those homes. Most black men own their homes. This wasn't no welfare come in and regulate their neighborhoods that they created. No, that's not what happened. They twisted this right here and turned it into that. And I'm going to explain to you what happened, right? So with a lot of times, these Keishas left the homes. They left their husbands, right? And when they go into the rat community, right, the rat community that they built, right, what ends up happening is, right, now they under the welfare system, right? Now in this particular time, in this particular area, it was called ADC, I believe. ADC, the welfare system was called ADC. So what happens is, right, since they're under the welfare system now, they can't have any men in their lives providing for them. They can't have any boyfriends. They can't have any of that, because if they find out that there's a man there, they're going to look at it and say, well, there's a man there. He's providing financial assistance for you. Therefore, they're cutting them off. That's where that came from. So they were telling them after they left their husbands, right? And went under the welfare system that now you can't have a husband or a boyfriend. And when they mean that is that you can't have a husband or a boyfriend under welfare. You understand what I'm saying? And it was so bad for these Keishas, right? That if they had neighbors that particularly didn't like them, right, and saw a man going in and out of the house, right, they would call the welfare services and say, hey, there's this guy coming in and out of the house, and welfare would check up on him, right? And if they go in there and find any evidence of a man being in there, then they would kick them off of the kick them out of the welfare program, not kick a guy out of the home, right? This is what they twisted it, and you're about to hear it right now. We're about to debunk all this crap right now. Listen to this.
And she said, oh, you can't have a boyfriend. We don't allow that. And I wanted to know why. And she said, because it doesn't look right, with the kids. And so I said, I still don't see where they have anything to do with me with a boyfriend. And she said, well, you'll have to get rid of him. You have to make plans to marry him. And I told her I wasn't getting married. I wasn't ready for it. I had just got out of one. And I said, now look, you're going to tell me, here I am, 37 years old at that time.
Remember, she was married already. She got a divorce and then went under the welfare system. Okay? She left. She left. No jibs and all. Just bounced.
And I had been married.
Boyfriend should have been a
got 5
dentist.
kids here in the home. And had been married to this one man for 16 years. And you're going to tell me I can't have a boyfriend? And so she said, well, we doesn't allow the ADC mothers with boyfriend. And I couldn't understand that.
She couldn't understand that. She couldn't understand it. Because she was told, if you have a boyfriend here, we're going to take your services away. Let me show you a woman that explains that process. We're going to debunk all this right now. This part about men getting kicked, black men getting kicked out of that. We're going to debunk all that right now. Hold on. Now I want you to hear this part right here. This part right here.
That they want to encourage marriage and thus get women off the welfare rolls. But the investigation of a woman's eligibility for ADC discourages the beginning of any relationship with a man and marriage.
Well, if he's someone who is sincerely interested in you, you would like perhaps to invite him to dinner. You would like to, maybe he would like to spend the day with you. And if this happens, and you have a neighbor who particularly don't care for you, then the welfare department will hear about it, and then they suppose that this man is living there, or that you are supporting him out of your funds, you're feeding him with your funds, or if you claim you're not feeding him out of your funds, then their answer will be, then he's giving you money.
That's where that came from, black men. It didn't come from them coming into a community that Keishas were, a part of, and all of a sudden they went on welfare in this community, and they told them, well, you have to you black men have to be out of the households in order for them to receive welfare. No, this is after they left the communities. This is after they left the communities. When they left the communities that black men had built for them, they went on welfare, right? But the thing is, once they went on welfare, they couldn't have any other type of male leadership in the house under welfare, because then the question is, well, if you have a guy there, then you're supporting him, right? Or like this lady said right here, or you may be feeding him with the resources that we're giving you. Therefore, you can't have a man in the house. That's where that came from, black men. That's where that came from. That's where that came from. They didn't come from, oh, they kicked black men out the homes. No. The men that they were talking about weren't in the homes in the first place. When they went on welfare, they didn't have any men. They got rid of the men. They didn't get rid of they didn't get rid of them out of the household. They left. They didn't kick them out of the household. They left the men. Getting kicked out of the household had nothing to do with us. Back then, we weren't getting kicked out of our own homes. This is insane. No, they left the communities that black men built. Then they went into these rat communities that was created for them. And then when they were in these communities, they went on, they was already on ADC, I think it was called ADC, welfare, right? They was on welfare. And then when they were under, the welfare system, they weren't allowed to have any companionship, any type of male leadership, because a lot of questions would come up about the resources, whether he had resources or whether the resources were being depleted by him being in the household and they're not going totally to her and the children. That's what happened. That's what happened. Stop listening to these content creators just coming up with these, they kick black. Stop listening to them. They not making any sense, man. They not making any sense. They making it look like we was bums, that we didn't have our families, in living in the communities that we built, that we didn't have them under our leadership and we weren't providing or protecting. They making it look like we was just living with Keisha's and Keisha's had to control. No, black men were in control of these communities and Keisha didn't like it. They didn't like it at all. They didn't like black men being in control. Anytime black men progress, it was a problem for them because Becky would put it in their back. Brad would put it in their back that, hey, why are you watching him progress, but you're not going anywhere? Not realizing that if the black man progress, they progress also under his leadership. No, they wanted to be neck and neck with the men that they were with or over him. And that's where they at. That's the reason why they at the bottom. That's the reason why they at the bottom.
Are you as stupid as I think you are?